Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Afterlife podcast. This is your host, Pooja Chilukuri. Today I'm very excited to introduce you to Ritu LeBouef. Ritu and I met at a conference for the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and she has graciously accepted my invitation to come on our show and share her spiritual insights with us. Ritu is a native from India, and under the guidance of her Guruji, Swami Mohandasji Maharaj, she has gained spiritual insights and revelations and understanding, and she is here to share that with us. Because of this, Ritu also says that she understands Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma much better. And Ritu, I can't wait to get into this conversation with you. Thank you for being here.
Me too. I'm honored to have you invite me.
Absolutely. There is so much wisdom that I know that you have shared. I've heard you speak before, Ritu, and I would love for my audiences to also be able to participate in that. So why don't we start from the beginning? I know you have some pre-birth memories. You've had a lot of stuff happen, a lot of spiritual experiences. So please share.
Okay, so your interest is pre-birth memory. Yes. So it was about in my early 30s that I suddenly remembered I am in the other realm and with my guru, my present day guru, and I knew that I had a life ahead of me that was going to be full of pain and difficulties. And part of my journey is to learn how to navigate that, to get the wisdom that I have the power. I am all powerful, but how to use that power wisely to navigate the trials and tribulations of life. And I knew that it's not going to be easy and that it is not escape. There is no escape from learning what you are here to learn, the challenges you set ahead of you, and that it's best to learn from them and make your life fuller in a way that you connect to your inner divine awareness of your cosmic divinity. That's who you are. And but at the very last second, I was freaking out before taking birth. It's like, no, this is too much pain. This is too much trauma. I don't know if I can manage that. And then I was told, no, this is done. There's no moving back now. It's all worked out. It's all agreed upon. And whoosh, then I just saw myself come into my, in a way, like just entering this body. And so that clarified a lot for me. When this is after I already had a lot of spiritually profound experiences, but I was finding that how is it that despite these experiences, why we still cannot be living in that divine consciousness? What is it that comes in our way that becomes the wall of resistance? And what are the unaddressed challenges that that stand in our way? Because around me, people seem to be seeking and doing so much penances and asking these questions. Why is there so much suffering, as I was also asking? So that is this pre-birth memory then clarified for me that it's something that we designed, we knew, but we temporarily forget. And so we are not to descend into bitterness or give up the hope or just live life, in cynicism. So it is very important to somewhere know that I designed this myself, to put this challenge and that this life is coming from the unlimited to the limited and going back to unlimited. So it's like this play of consciousness. And as Krishna Leela, we hear so much in Hinduism, this is what it is. And to come to that awareness that this is all a play of consciousness and not be trapped within the sort of a illusory mind game. And so that was very insightful for me.
That is very powerful, Ritu. Very beautiful. And you say that you were around the age of 30. So prior to that, you also had some spiritual experiences. When was the first time you became aware of the spirit realm or the spiritual experience?
Oh, that would be hard to say, Pooja, because from the very beginning that I can remember, I always sought the answer to the deeper mysteries of life. Nothing seemed random to me. I could not believe that it was just happening randomly. There was a reason behind it. Even little things like the address at which I live. How come this is my address, and how come another friend who lives at that address? Like, that cannot be random. There has to be a reason behind it. My brothers, why are they my brothers and not sisters? Like, who's deciding that? This is not random. My older brother, why is he older to me? Why wasn't my younger brother the older one, and the older one the younger one? I mean, it cannot be just completely meaningless. And why isn't anybody talking about it? And where is everything coming from? Or where did we come from? And where does everybody go? And so I had memory of some of my past lives.
Wow.
And I had the knowledge that we are here to learn and grow. And we are here. And one thing that was very important for me is constant remembrance that no matter how much pain and difficulties come in your way, you are not to commit suicide. And it is not the way out. It doesn't end by committing suicide, and it will only be harder the next time around. And since I knew from my inner knowing about past lives, nobody had to teach me that. But because I was growing up in India, it's in the air, these words, this information about reincarnation, all the songs that you hear. But it wasn't, nobody had to talk about it for me to know these things. So I had a lot of psychic abilities at that time, but my environment was not typically religious, but it wasn't very openly spiritual conversations either. So it was created a lot of confusion inside me. And but my seeking was always there, and I always thought people pray to this somebody called Bhagwan or Ishwar, and this some cosmic, omnipotent, omniscient entity who is so supposed to be all powerful. And they pray, and they have all these material wishes, worldly wishes for health, for somebody's job, somebody's marriage. It's like they're constantly praying, praying, praying. The word mannat, it's like, constant bargaining. So I would think, if there is somebody, something, Bhagwan or Ishwar, who is so powerful that he can grant all these people's wishes, these millions and billions of people's wishes, then why do people go to this an invisible entity asking for worldly things one at a time, why don't they just ask for that entity? So then you have everything. Why don't you just ask to get Ishwar, that Bhagwan, or is symbolized in the forms of many deities, as we know, Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and Lord Shiva. So in divine feminine forms is Durga Mata. In so many different ways, people pray to the manifestations of that formless cosmic supreme intelligence. It's like, why don't we just ask to be one with that supreme intelligence? That's like the smarter thing to me. Then you have access to everything. So somewhere those little things were always there within me. So I did have this pull, constant pull of a love. I'm a being that's like calling me, like, come to me, come to me. And I would cry, I'd be so confused. It's like, who is that? What is that? And that pull, it's like you're just being sucked into, and like, who are you? And that got me into writing a lot of love poetry, and this just love surging inside me, but I didn't know who that was for. Or so I was doing a lot of the ghazals and shero shairi, but it was very confusing for people around me. I don't blame them. If I didn't know any better, I would be very confused too. So when you say what was the beginning, there was a lot of that was already. I would see auras, people's auras, and that was also confusing. Why people have these different colors, and so these experiences were happening to me
Yeah.
all along.
Ritu, when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking if my childhood, if these were happening to me as a child, I'm not sure how would I deal with that, because it would be very difficult to explain that to friends and family. And then, did you ever feel these experiences as a burden, or were they releasing and made you feel happy?
Oh, you're the first one asking me this question. No, it was very traumatic for me.
Mhm.
I did not feel I belonged at all. I did not know what I was doing here. What is going on? Nothing made sense to me. And I became very timid. I became very withdrawn.
Mhm.
And I was very much full of fears,
Mhm.
because there was no one around me to talk about intuition and following your divine voice, the voice that you hear within. And it was as typically there is, within the culture, it's about the cultural expectations, and you have to follow be obedient to what is expectations, and especially as a female, the cultural expectations, and to fit into that mold. And it was quite traumatizing for me. And so then it built, one thing led to the other. When you are behaving in a way others don't understand, then their behavior will be a little harsher, because they are also confused by
Yes, right.
behaving like any other normal kid.
Mhm.
And so it did create a lot of self-doubt within me, lot of feelings like I'm a burden, I don't know what I'm doing here, unworthiness, and I'm not good enough. I cannot say the right things. I cannot do the right things. And so this became a karmic pattern, sort of, for me, that made me take many decisions and actions that were very much against what my inner guidance felt like. But I did not know that that's what you're meant to follow. And because you suspect that, that is something um, your inner weakness, maybe you don't know how to properly align yourself with how others know much better and what they are thinking for you. So, but that was the perfect groundwork, right, for me to experience those pain and traumas that I had already designed that were shown in my pre-birth memory. And so the way you use the insights and wisdom from the spiritual experiences and the guidance and grace of my guru to apply that to the resistance built up inside you and how trapped and stuck you become in the mind game, how to use that wisdom to navigate and clear up those patterns. And that's what I am sharing with people. Yeah.
Yes. And I know that all of us are works in progress. But and I also know as children, we don't have power, right? It's whatever our parents, the culture, the society. So when do you think, Ritu, that at what point do you feel like you were able to own those parts of yourself and be comfortable in your own skin, so to speak? How long did it take?
Oh, it was very gradual in layers, little bit in layers, because it was very, very deep trauma. I went through a lot of abuse, every possible kind of abuse. My life got set up that way. And this, I don't blame anyone, because at this point, I know that this was the play, that it was meant to be this way. So I'm grateful for all that I went through, because now I know how to resonate, how to understand others and help others with that healing. But I would say for myself and for others also, it wasn't just like, snap of a finger. It's been a gradual process. And for me, it needed to be that way, because then I can understand the angst, the frustration, and the time that it can take to clear those layers. But the method that I practice right now, called Compassion Key, is I'm very enthusiastic about this method. Is so much more direct and speedy and powerful in getting you to become aware of all your wounded aspects, and then give it compassion, and then connect with your subconscious to heal much, much faster. So that journey led me to come to use this method.
That's beautiful. And I know it takes time. I wish we had a switch that we could just flip and go, flip this switch and, transformation, but it doesn't work like that.
Well, I would say, always a disclaimer, it can, because everybody is unique.
Yes.
Everybody is unique. Your fingerprints are unique, your DNA is unique, you're a combination of all your past lifetimes, all your actions and reactions and responses. So you are a unique person. And like, that's also the very essence of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma says that you are a unique individual, and your own path to your finding becoming identified or and situated within your own divinity ultimately has to be your own unique journey, you can associate yourself with a lineage, with a master, with a method, with a religion, and it'll take you only so far. But ultimately, it is your own experience that will let you know that you are one with that divine consciousness. So it can depends on where you are in the complexity of that matrix where you have been. It can be just matter of 1 second. You've heard of Ashtavakra Gita. When you hear that, you can know it can be. So it just depends what you have designed, how your life to unfold.
And you mentioned something beautiful about the divine consciousness. So that's a perfect segue for me to ask you my next question. You've had a very tangible experience. I've heard it in one of your interviews with divine unconditional love. Do you want to share that?
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so can I give you a tiny little background of how I came to happen that experience? So I cannot begin this without mentioning my guru, right? So I was age 21 when my guru, and I did not know anything about guru. I just had my spiritual seeking. I just knew that he is a saint. He is called Swamiji, he's called Maharajji, and that my parents introduced me to him, and they had come to know of him. So the first time I went to his ashram, it was a very hot summer day, and we got out of the car and we saw him walking on the long gravel path. It was a newly built ashram. It was still being built. It was just 2 tiny little rooms, long gravel path and an iron gate. And we saw him walking bare feet on that path. And my mother exclaimed, like, look at his humility, that, he is such a great saint and he is walking to receive us all by himself, to receive us. And how did he even know that we have arrived here? And we were the only ones arriving at that time. And he opened the gate, and there was just so much peace and love coming from him. And it was hot summer, so he was just wearing this sleeveless white cotton robe, and no pockets or anything like that. And he blessed us, and he walked with us all the way to outside of the entrance of the room. And then he said, okay, go sit inside and I'll be right back. So we went and sat inside, and my mother is telling the lady sitting next to her, like, look at the humility of this great saint. He came all the way outside that path to receive us, opened the gate, brought us here. And the lady is looking at my mother and said, what are you talking about? Right when you entered the room, he got up and left. He's been here the whole time. And that was the first time I had that realization, wow, he can be at 2 places simultaneously. And then next thing, in the courtyard, there are a lot of YouTube videos of him, and his sermons are given in singing form. He would sing in kirtan, so live musicians, and in open courtyard, and singing started happening. And then suddenly there was these dark clouds, and we knew torrential rain is going to happen. And I was preparing myself, just like, I don't see anybody moving. It's like, don't they notice this rain is going to happen any moment? And they're just singing, and everybody's engrossed in that, in the kirtan and bhajan. But I was focused more on, I'm just going to run, duck under the shelter as soon as rain starts happening. But then suddenly there was this torrential rain, and there wasn't a drop of water in that open courtyard, and it was all around us as if there was this invisible roof above us. That was an amazing, miraculous thing for me to notice. And then the next thing, when we were ready to leave, go towards the car, then my guru, everybody had left and I was standing right there. I'm saying my guru, at that time I had no recognition of it, but then suddenly I see him coming from the far corner of the courtyard, coming towards me. It's like, Ritu, wait, take prasad, that is that blessed offering that saints give to you. And so I'm thinking, okay, but then I see no food, typically it's some fruit or some sweets or something like that. And I see there's nothing around there. So I was standing very confused, and he came to me and he said, "What, take the prasad?" And I didn't understand, like, okay, where do I take it? There's nothing in his hands and there's nothing around me. But he says, open your hands. So I opened, joined both my hands and opened it, and in front of both my palms. And he just put his hand on top of my hands, and there was this, my hands were overflowing with all kinds of dry fruits, cashews and almonds and all of that, the dry fruits. So that was another miracle I witnessed. So it wasn't just about these miracles, but there was this peace and love that was emanating from him, something that I had not experienced before. So I just felt like this is someone I can ask him some of my questions. Before that, I never had I felt like I could open up and ask someone, but there was just something so inviting from him. So I asked him, I said, is there actually a physical heaven and hell? Swarag and Narak, I'm asking him. And he paused and looked at me for a second, and he said, no, there is no physical heaven and hell. It's all a state of mind. That wasn't an answer I had ever expected. So I don't remember what's the next question I asked him, but he told me, he said, all the answers you are seeking are within you. Go experience them for yourself. And that felt like, like a full stop. That felt like this commandment that this is it. You are to seek answers by yourself. So that is how I knew that even though he is there and I saw other people asking him questions and him answering them, that he's not going to give me any ready-made golden platters or servings of answers that I have to seek. So that's kind of where active seeking began. And eventually I started to join some meditation groups, and it was, and I would have very powerful dreams that would be apparently in symbolic forms, giving me answers to my questions, but I could not decipher the symbolism. So I would be, maybe it's in some books. So I was searching for metaphysical books, and now this is way before internet and cell phones, or you have to look through yellow pages. And so I located a bookstore that was about 40 minutes away from my house, and I started going there. They used to have meditation gatherings, and I saw between that and the books that are there and a very knowledgeable shopkeeper, I'm sure to find my answers. Well, that's not how my answer came to me. So one particular day, I had really, really deep meditation session, and I got up from it feeling very peaceful, but I still got no blinding insights. There was no flashes of light, so felt a little disappointed. But it was 9 o'clock, shop was gonna close. And so I hurried outside, and it was a very nice, pleasant day, but it was like open skies, and there were only 2 cars in the parking lot. The shopkeepers, everybody else had left. And because everybody had gotten up from the meditation, but it was so deep that it continued, and she didn't want to bother me. So it's like, well, let her get up whenever she wants to. So I got in my car and I turned on the ignition key, and then I heard this loud explosion. And for a second, I got startled, thinking my car exploded. But the next moment, I am in this formless void, and it's just dripping with love. It's just love and dripping with love. And the way I explain it is like you take a piece of a sheet, a cotton sheet, and you dunk it in water, and when you pull it out, how it's just the water is just dripping from it. It's just saturated. It cannot help. It cannot contain it anymore. So it was like that. It was just this most indescribable love. That's just the whole void. And you can't even say whole void. It was like no space, no time, nothing, but everything simultaneously, the all pervasive existence. And this just a love. And I noticed that I had no awareness of the physical reality of my body or where I am, but I knew that I had just dreams of tears flowing, and that I am traveling at lightning speed, if there is any word to describe more faster than lightning. I don't know what that word be. Quantum speed? I don't know. But it was flying through space, and these billions of shimmering stars are just flying towards me, and they're not colliding with, they're just whizzing through them. And it's just all this void in space. And like right after that awareness, it's like this overwhelm of like I'm just going to explode from that, the love that is I'm experiencing, this pure ecstasy. And then it was like a slight jerk moment, like you're in a standard shift car, when you shift the gear. And then I was one with that cosmic consciousness. I was the one. I was this all-pervading love, that everything that is a manifestation is these drops of love. And I am these drops of love. And the next moment with this, when I say next moment, I don't know how much time passed by, but I see myself as a mini self in reference to this macro self. So here I am, this all pervasive, the absolute, the divine consciousness, and also this mini self, although I am not aware of any physical reality, but I know that there is this extension of the macro divine consciousness, cosmic consciousness, and there is this mini self, and the essence of that is also the drop. That's the drop of love, and that this macro self wants to experience is just this love that just wants to experience its own uniqueness through this mini self. And this awareness first time came to me, this thought came to me, well, if I am this all-pervasive cosmic consciousness, and I am this extension as a mini self, then who is this that is aware of this difference. Who is that? What is that? And then I felt like, where if I had been able to experience my physical body, like somewhere around there, above it, around it, all around it, was a something, a consciousness that was able to discern and question these things and know this difference. And that is when I was just felt so overwhelmed, and I'm noticing that I'm still rivers of, I'm just bawling, and I'm saying, how do we forget this? How can we forget this essence, that who we are? How can there be so much hate and violence and killing of each other, and how can we disconnect from this? Like, how is it even possible? And as I am pondering over this, all I notice is I am turning off my ignition key, and I am in my driveway, in my own home. And the first time I become aware of my physical reality, that this is my driveway and this is the car, and I'm getting out of it, but I'm still soaking in love, and tears are still running. And I open the door, and it's late at night. Everybody at home is asleep. And I walk into my room, and I sit in my bed, and I'm still like, very disoriented, and I'm still feeling that love. And as soon as I sat in the bed, it's almost like it was put on pause, and then you put play again. And that whole experience, but in a different way, started again. And this time I'm hearing sounds, and it felt like I'm in this realm that all around me are these sages, these ancient yogis, rishis, who are chanting in unison these Sanskrit chants. And there's like these yagnas are going on, and my eyes are closed. But and these fire ceremonies, yajnas that are going on, have these fragrance emanating that was beyond these any earthly fragrances that I have ever experienced. It was just filling up every nerve, every cell of my body and my nostrils, and it's like going into my forehead, and like I can feel every fiber and every cell, and these sounds and the chants and this fragrance, and then all this love that is, I just like, I'm just every moment I felt like I'm gonna just explode into a million pieces. My cells cannot contain this anymore. And it must have gone on for hours. And finally, it's just something like a scream, a silent scream came from inside me. I cannot contain this anymore. And that very second, everything stopped. That love that was pouring into me, the sounds, the fragrance, and I had been crying nonstop. So that's where I will stop in explaining this. But after that, literally my life changed. I could not continue on with my very, very successful career that I totally loved as a software engineer. Every time I went into the office and I started to do my work, there was just this voice, this echoing inside of me that said, this is not what you came here for. This is not what you came here for. And then there was just so many other experiences that were happening with me to bring me the insight that my purpose was healing. I did not know. Imagine a software engineer, no knowledge of back in those days, especially about what is healing, what is energy, or anything like that. But some rapid experiences happened that led me to know that I should start doing energy healing work. And that is how my life transformed. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an instantaneous decision. There was a lot of figuring out of, what we're used to, list the pros and cons and all the fears that come up of people won't understand. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. It wasn't like a ready-made path that was ahead of me. So I knew that I have to, but the longing, the pull of going into a new direction far outweighed. Like I could not follow that. And so despite knowing that I have no way to explain any of this to anyone, or to even have any clarity for myself where this is headed to, I have no idea where this is headed to. What I'm really supposed to do with this knowledge and this sudden ability. So I had the ability to channel healing energy to people. And what will happen to that? Where will this lead me? So it's really been a very organic unfolding of one step at a time.
And that organic unfolding is the most beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Ritu, your experience is so beautiful. I'm listening to you. I don't even know which parts to gather. I just, you were seeking all of your life, like right from as far back as you can remember, and you found the most precious thing that so many of us can't find in one lifetime, right? What a blessing that you had.
Oh, when you say blessing, can I add with this that so when I decided to make that change, I still hadn't, but then I came to this conclusion and made a decision that I am going to make this transition. Then I paid a visit to India. By this time, I still did not know the grace of my guru that I had, because he was like playing in the background. He never talked to me to explain anything to me or give me one-on-one guidance, nothing like that. I felt like I'm just, stumbling and kind of figuring it out on my own. And so I wanted to share that with him. And I just had this overwhelming urge to go in his presence, to take his blessing. And but to me, he's still a Swami, right? A saint, no more than that, who had just put me on that path. And then when I visited India and I went in his presence, I had just barely walked into that room, Pooja, and that same love was just emanating from him. That indescribable, all pervasive, ecstatic love was just emanating from him. And the same thing, just rivers of tears just started flowing. And of course, people around me, what happened? She was just okay 2 seconds before she entered this room. And I couldn't have explained to them. And that is when I knew it was like within this light, within this universes of cosmos of love is his form is sitting there, and that I bowed to him. And I still have that picture, and it's on my refrigerator, where my whole being knew this is what Guru means. When they say Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama, my whole being was bowing to him. And my tears, his feet was soaked in my tears, and his hand on my head blessing me. So it was like so much of it I came to know just through these experiences, through my inner knowing. And I did not have to read books and or scriptures to know that this is the essence of Sanatan Dharma. And then much, much later on, I came to know that one of the philosophies, you can say, of Sanatan Dharma is the Advaita Vedanta. There is the formless and the reaching God through form, reaching God through formless. And that the formless way is called Advaita Vedanta. And the principle, the main knowing that comes out of it is Aham Brahmasmi Tattvam Asi, where I am that, I am Brahma, and so are you, that everything is. It's like, so suddenly I found that I'm understanding everything, all of this Vedantic Veda knowledge that comes. It's like, I know what that means. And so, yes, amazing blessing.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of me knowing he is my guru. And
and thank you for sharing all of that with us, Ritu. You know, in the interest of time, I will have to end this show, but I'm going to have you come back because I'm not even done. I wanted to talk. You are a wealth of experiences. Some of the things I've heard you share, I would love for us to talk about that. So I'm just going to have you come back, especially I know you're writing a book. So maybe when the book is done, I would love to have another conversation with you. This is very, very beautiful. Yes.
Definitely.
You know, at this time we're recording this, it's really ironic because I feel like our planet is going through a really hard, unstable, I don't know, it's almost like this shaking, you know, and I see so much polarization and there's hatred and all of the things you talked about earlier. You'll kind of line that up against your experience. But we are love. We're not just made of love. We are love. We are that. And so, you know, that baffles me sometimes to see that the contrast, the gap. And so I really appreciate you sharing, Ritu, because this is one of the reasons I created this space. I want people who've had these experiences to share so that we start waking up to our own reality, you know, and not something that our minds have been fed, but who we really are. Because I don't know what else is going to solve the problems on this planet. If each one of us wakes up and starts radiating and living from that place, and you know, it doesn't matter what religion and what culture we're following, whatever helps us to wake up to be that person that we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you so much. We have so much in common. You know, we're both from India. We both come from blended religions. And I have loved this conversation so much, Ritu. So I'll just have to have you come back. Thank you.
Feel so blessed to be meeting you and talking to you and your viewers.
Yes.
And yes, so this message you're spreading to everyone.
There's so much to take away from your story, but if there are any words that you want to leave us with, I would be happy to hear them.
Yes. So this is a divine play of consciousness. And somewhere we are stuck in the mind game. And even science has proven that nothing is solid. And so just remind yourself that this is temporary mind game that you might be stuck in, and take the time every day in whatever method you can use. And we say meditation is most common, to separate yourself, create that distance between what is of the mind, what appears solid, and what is not, what is the pure existence, to connect with that. And little by little, we can remove all those layers that distance us or disconnect us from our own divine essence, that is pure, unlimited love.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you,
I
Pooja.
will definitely see you on the next episode that I do with you.
I'll be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.